Welcome everyone. Guess what we're reading? Dun 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 dun. Learning. Okay. So let's begin when we left off. The book's been great so far. The way the author writes is very smooth. Sentence flow is awesome. Let's dig in. On Tuesday, July 2nd, 1776, the delegates voted to adopt the resolution for independence. 2 days later, on a pleasant summertime Thursday, at midday, the temperature was 76 degrees. That's kind of funny. It's a pretty good temperature. They ratified the declaration. Jefferson recorded purchases he managed to make on the 4th: 7 pairs of ladies' gloves and a thermometer. What? Why is he's doesn't his little accounting? Oh, that's funny. Little lady's glove. Overnight, the Philadelphia printer John Dunlap produced the approved text on broadside, creating the first set of published copies. On July 6th, Benjamin Town, publisher of the Pennsylvania Evening Post, ran the declaration of his front page. The following Monday, July 8th, the news was announced in Philadelphia in front of the State House. The crowd cheered, "God bless the free states of North America." It was a nervous time. The delegates knew they had committed themselves to a treasonous course. Right? The crown was gonna get some revenge. They relieved the tension where they could, in small moments of grim levity. Horseflies buzzed through the Pennsylvania State House from a nearby stable. Oh, I hate those flies. I hate them. Jefferson said in later years, bedeviling what James Parton called the silk-stucked legs of honorable members. Handkerchief in hand, they lashed the flies with such vigor as they could command. But annoyance became at length so extreme as to render them impatient of delay, and they made haste to bring momentous business to a conclusion. So they got their stockings on, how they used to dress back then. And it's like, oh, it's flies, hurry up! And these flies, bzz, bzz, like. Jefferson loved the story of an exchange between the fat Benjamin Harrison of Virginia and the wispy Eldridge Gary of Massachusetts. Gary, when the hanging comes, I shall have the advantage. You'll kick in the air half an hour after it is all over with me. In later years, there was much back and forth over the Declaration and its significance, with John Adams, jealous of Jefferson's authorial fame, complaining that the Declaration was a theatrical show. Ooh, dang, Adams is getting a little jelly. Not a substantive document. Jefferson ran away with all the stage effect of it, i.e., all the glory of it, Adams remarked in 1811. The revolutionary nature of Jefferson's word was, nevertheless, clear from the beginning. With the power of the pen, he had articulated a new premise of the government of humanity. Notice this, power of the pen. I think today, though, there's just paper pushing is just more gridlock. It just seems like endless laws are being written, and there's so many laws that even the own Congress people, even when the laws they're not literally written with a pen, right? They're typed on a piece of papers and stuff. They don't even read all the bills they pass. They're just 1,200 pages. They don't even read them. They just pass them. And there's just so many conflicting laws. It's really strange. I think the pen needs to be put away and more talking and actual focusing and reading. That all men were created equal. Again, at that time, people were not equal. Really, it's a goal, right? A future goal, as we know, right? We know in the moment of time when they said that, not everyone was equal, and hopefully that one day they would become equal, right? He basically meant all white men, especially proprieted ones. But the English philosopher Jeremy Bentham, pretty cool dude, for one, recognized the import of the document adopted in Philadelphia. Attacking the Declaration from London, Bentham scoffed at the idea that every man had a natural God-given right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Such assertions, Bentham said, were absurd and visionary, and he likened the American political thinking to the old New England fury over witchcraft. I don't remember too much of his works. We studied him. It was just a brief overview of him, but it is quite interesting. All men, they tell us, are created equal, Bentham wrote. This surely is a new discovery now. For the first time we learn that a child, at the moment of his birth, has the same quantity of natural power. So look at this. At the moment of your birth, you have natural quantity of natural power as the parent. The same quantity of political power as the magistrate. Look at this. So natural power, and political power. Which is just not true anymore. It's an idea, but it's not true at all. Ultimately, though, this was the essential American view. Today, we worship a lot of politicians in a weird way. We don't really hold them accountable. And people become politicians for the wrong reasons. We hate politicians, but they get worshipped by big business, essentially. Had read Jefferson's right. Jefferson's pride in authorship, meanwhile, was contemporaneous and clear. It was, right? We have noticed that. And clear, he dispatched copies of his original versions to friends. You will judge whether it is better or worse for the critics, he wrote a colleague. His friend John Page reassured Jefferson by complimenting him, and then Page suggested gently that the event of independence transcended the cureless editors of Pennsylvania State House. Look at that. So Page is like, hey, listen, man, this revolution you're doing, right, is bigger than just some stupid editors at the Pennsylvania State House. I am highly pleased with your declaration, said Page. God preserve the United States. We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs the storm? Wow, John Page said that? An angel riding on the whirlwind, directing the storm. Wow. Okay, we're in chapter 10 now, family. And the title says The Pull of Duty. And there's a really cool two quotes here. First one by Jefferson to Richard Henry Lee in 1776. I pray you to come. I am under a sacred obligation to go home. Wonder what that's going to be. Probably something happened with his family member, but probably sick and maybe died. Next quote. American motto suggested by Jefferson. Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. Oh, I've heard that a lot. You know, it's really interesting how this quote now is being used by both sides in this, and the rights for African Americans and to be free from police brutality. And now people are using it to say that you need to be killed in the street if you steal sneakers. It's really fascinating how these quotes, really by the liberty-minded, get used against the regular people. It's interesting. They don't see the police corruption as tyrannical, more of a necessity to keep the beasts of us in line. It's quite interesting how one party talks constantly about liberty and then they don't really live up to it or join forces with people who are being oppressed. They simply deny it exists and calls it a myth, and they want to stay in their privilege bubble. Very interesting. In 1776, with Jefferson at work in the cause of the nation in Philadelphia, Patty suffered a disastrous miscarriage. Yeah, I thought so. See that interesting quote he put up here? It kind of gave us a highlight of what was to come. And look, it starts off with Patty. She's had a terrible miscarriage. Those are painful, I bet. Emotionally and physically. In the same day and weeks in which he drafted the Declaration of Independence. So look at that. He's doing this groundbreaking work, trying to help America become free. And his own home is suffering right now. He's lost another child. Pain. Serious pain. Jefferson could not rest easy about his wife, desperately watching out for letters from her hand. I wish I could be better satisfied on the point of Patty's recovery, he wrote a brother-in-law in July 1776. I had not heard from her at all for 2 posts before, and no letter from herself now. See, it's amazing how back then you had to wait so long for letters. Today, sometimes you can't even get a text back from your partner. You know what I'm saying? And people go nuts when they don't get a text back. But we have the electronics we have today. It's so instant, and people still don't take advantage of it to the fullest extent. And some overuse it, granted, right? by spamming their partners, where are you, where are you, and you get like 70 texts and you're out of work. But imagine just waiting for that old-fashioned mail, right? The little carriage pulling up with the letters. Whew. You can't just call them on the phone and be like, how are you, I need you, right? Think about it. Intense. That type of anxiety.